everyone. I'm Matt Clark, research analyst with Money and Markets, here with your marijuana market update. Now, again, I want to make sure that you after you watch this video, you head over to moneyandmarkets.com. Sign up for our free daily e-letter. All 7 days of the week, you get a free e-letter sent directly to your email that has safe, sound, smart, simple, profitable investment information from myself, from Charles Sizemore, our Green Zone Fortunes co-editor, and our chief investment strategist, Adam O'Dell. So make sure you go to moneyandmarkets.com right after this video and check that out. If you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you want to make sure you do that as well. Just hit that subscribe button down below and make sure you get alerted every time we post a new video. I'll talk more about that in a little bit later. Now, on with today's podcast. I got a few things I'm going to talk about today. I did have an interesting reader question about Tilray Incorporated. We're going to talk about that. Then I'm actually going to pose a question. I'm going to flip things up a little bit. I'm going to actually pose a question to all of you and have you let me know kind of what your answers are in a little bit. I'll tell you about that. And then I've got some key earnings information on some of our watch list stocks. We'll talk about that as well. Now, I'll start with a question from Joe. He very simple. I love the pithiness. He sent me a question. He says, why is Tilray trading down? It's a good question. And I do thank you for asking it, Joe. Appreciate that. Again, if you want to ask questions of me, just email them to feedback@moneyandmarkets.com. You can actually post below on our YouTube channel as well, if you'd like. But feedback at moneyandmarkets.com is a good way to get the ball rolling. Now, if you've been following the cannabis market, you'll know that Tilray, which trades on the Nasdaq under TLRY, recently closed its merger with Aphria Incorporated. Now, it created the world's largest cannabis producer by revenue. The combined company has a market cap of about $8 billion. And in theory, you would think this would be a relatively attractive potential for cannabis investors. However, the new company has kind of started off a bit slower than expected. Granted, it's only been a new company for a very, very short amount of time. In fact, it was just the first part of May when the merger actually closed. Now, looking at Tilray stock chart, you can see it was trading relatively flat in 2020. Then it popped all the way up to about $67 a share in February, but that level seemed a bit too high for investors to get behind. So it pared back pretty significantly, because 67 is that's quite a strength. And it's one that just really couldn't be supported. So it came back down a little bit more down towards reality. Now, you have to factor in a couple things here. One is the deal with Aphria. Not so much that the actual deal itself that they're going to merge, but you have to consider this was an all-stock deal. And so after the deal is announced, considering it's an all-stock deal, you really have to connect both stock together in terms of movement. If Aphria stock goes down, Tilray stock goes down, and vice versa. So they really become interlinked whenever you start talking about two companies in an all-stock deal. Then you also have to take into account a cooling off of the cannabis market. Federal legalization talks in the U.S. have kind of stalled after being ramped up at the beginning of the year. Investor sentiment in the market has kind of waned a bit. So you have those two things that you have to kind of put into perspective. Now, in April, a couple events happened that has had a bit of an impact on the stock. Prior to the merger, Aphria posted quarterly earnings that were well below Wall Street expectations. The company reported a loss of about 15 cents a share. Expectations were about 5 cents a share loss. So it really had a pretty wide gap of loss. And that pushed Aphria stock down. Thus, as I said before, because the stock are kind of connected, that pushed Tilray down as well. Then came the merger, and the excitement really wasn't as strong as when the merger was initially announced and as the process moved forward. The more recent decline in Tilray, the pro forma Tilray stock, can be attributed a lot to its recent quarterly report. Tilray reported a quarterly loss of about 19 cents a share. That was well off the estimate of only a 10-cent per share loss that analysts expected. It had an operating loss of about $73 million. That was greater than the $71 million the company reported in the same quarter last year. Now, during this recent quarter, Tilray reported revenue declines in both adult use and Canadian medical cannabis. Overall, the company reported an 8% drop in total revenue for the quarter. And that's going to weigh a little bit on investors' minds, because investors do trade a bit on earnings. So especially in cannabis, especially if cannabis earnings are good, then you see a pop in the stock. If cannabis earnings are bad, then you see a slight drop. And that's what we've seen here. Now, none of this means that the pro forma company of Tilray is a bad one, or that it won't reverse its earnings decline, or it wouldn't even be one that I would consider putting on our cannabis watch list. But this recent recent news and all that does kind of go a long way to explain why Tilray stock hasn't really taken off after its merger with Aphria. Again, bigger doesn't always necessarily mean better. And cannabis still remains a very volatile market. We'll talk about that a little bit more as I get into our cannabis watch list. If projections are any indicator, though, Tilray does have the potential to be a very strong cannabis company in the coming years. Its total revenue is expected to more than double from 2020 figures of about 448 million to 2023, where they're projecting about 923 million, which is a very, very strong amount of growth for this pro forma company. The company has already accumulated about 505 million in total revenue for its fiscal year, which ends on May 31st. So it's projected about 507 million. So if it hits around the $2 million mark in revenue, it's going to meet that expectation, which would be good news. And it already has beaten last year's revenue by a pretty healthy margin. Now, the question is whether the company can bring down its overall losses with the merger, and that still remains to be seen. So, again, not a bad company, not necessarily one I would tell you to stay away from, not invest in or hold or buy. It's kind of, I'm kind of neutral on Tilray right now. I want to see a few more things happen before I would say, okay, now it's time to go and get into this big player. Now it's just not the time. So, we'll see what happens in the coming months. Now, I do want to pose a question to the audience that I received from Robert. He said, I would love to invest in the recommended pot stocks, but where do you buy them? I have 5 brokerage accounts, and outside of only being able to buy Canopy Growth and Tilray, they will not sell the OTC listed stocks on the grounds the federal government says that pot is illegal. It's a great question, Robert, and it's one that I kind of want all of you to answer. Because there are a ton of ways to invest in OTC stock. And there's a ton of ways to do it. There's a ton of brokerages out there that will allow you to do it. And I kind of want to know what kind of platform you guys are using, because not all platforms are created equal. Not all platforms work the same. So it'd be interesting to kind of hear kind of what platforms you use to trade, to buy and sell over-the-counter stocks, because it's not necessarily an easy endeavor to undertake. So you can comment on our YouTube channel below or email me at feedback@moneymarkets.com and let Robert and myself know how he can invest in OTC stocks that we talk about here on the Marijuana Market Update. I think it'd be great to find out the vast comparison of different brokerages and ways that you guys buy OTC stock. I'd love to hear that. So again, it's feedback@moneymarkets.com. You can comment down below on the YouTube channel as well. Now, I'll talk about some news surrounding our Money Markets Cannabis Watch List. As of today, the watch list average gain is about 36%. It's been holding steady between 36 and 42% over the last several weeks. So it's kind of found a little bit of a mid-range. Our stocks are still doing well, still behind each and every one of them. I still think they're all very strong performers and have the potential to be. So no changes as of right now to the watch list. And I'm kind of struggling to add anything new to the watch list yet, because I kind of want to see what the market does in the coming weeks. I have my eye on a few things, but I'm not there yet and ready to say, okay, let's put this on the watch list. But I will let you know as soon as possible when that happens. Now, there's been some news concerning some of our holdings. Schweitzer Malta International trades on the ticker SWM. The company recently reported its quarterly earnings, and both revenue and earnings per share blew out Wall Street expectations. The company reported earnings of $1.02 per share on revenue of $288 million, both well above expectations. It was great news for the company. Stock price is moving in a nice forward direction. Scotts Miracle-Gro also had a fantastic quarter. The fertilizer company posted revenue and earnings beats as well. Earnings were about $5.64 per share, which is unbelievable, by the way, on revenue of $1.8 billion for the quarter. Analysts have now gone so far as to raise their price target on Scotts Miracle-Gro to as high as $300 per share. That's a $60 share increase over its price today, currently at around $240, $241. Again, Scotts Miracle-Gro moving nicely in the right direction for us. And doing well. Perkin-Elmer Incorporated, this is a testing company. Its third quarterly earnings update, the third quarterly earnings update that I would talk about today brings us beats also in both earnings and revenue. Perkin-Elmer reported earnings of $3.72 per share on revenue of $1.3 billion for the quarter. It is also a stock that is moving in a nice direction for us. So all three of those companies are doing very, very well. I'm keeping an eye on some other things, looking at some other stocks, also maintaining a close eye on our watch list holdings as well. Now, I've had a lot of questions about stocks to evaluate and market questions. I will address those in coming updates, but I do encourage you to keep emailing me your questions. Let me know, is there a stock you want me to look at? Is there a sector question that you have? Do so at feedback@moneyandmarkets.com. We'll put that address right down there, feedback@moneyandmarkets.com. I love to see your questions, love to answer your questions, love to dig into what's on your mind. So please do so, and don't hesitate. Just flood it out. I get to them as quickly as I can. Don't necessarily get to all of them fast, but I do get to them, and I do like to put out those updates on these videos. So please do so. Send those out, feedback@moneymarkets.com. We've got much more coming up this week. Don't forget to check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're not already. I do want to thank everyone who is subscribed so far. We love that. But if you're not subscribed, you're watching this, maybe you picked up on this video from watching another video or whatever, please subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot of great content. We have the marijuana market update as you're watching right now. We have our Ask Adam Anything series, is where you get an opportunity to ask Adam O'Dell, our chief investment strategist, any question you like. I get to pose those questions to him each and every week. I have a lot of fun doing it. Charles Sizemore, Green Zone Fortune's co-editor and contributor for Money and Markets. He also has a video series weekly called Investing with Charles Sizemore. If you're looking for income-producing stocks, dividend stocks, Charles is your guy, and he will point you in the right direction of what to look for, what to buy, what to sell, and all that. He does that each and every week. Plus, we have the Bull Bear podcast, where the three of us sit down and we discuss a smattering of things. We may give you a stock recommendation. We may talk about something that's big in the news, give you our take on what it means for you as a smart investor. That's our Bull and the Bear podcast as well. So a lot of stuff on our YouTube channel. Make sure you are subscribed and do that. And also visit moneymarkets.com and sign up for our free daily e-letter. You get safe, sound, smart, simple, profitable investment information each and every day delivered to your email inbox for free. And you can do that by signing up at moneyandmarkets.com. We've got a lot more coming up, so make sure you check it out. Until then, I'm Matt Clark, research analyst for Money and Markets and the host of the Bull and the Bear podcast and your marijuana market update. Until next time, everyone, safe trading.